Good morning. Did you make the most of your weekend?
By most, you mean did the least, then yes. No, I actually got some things done. It was nice.
Nice. I actually shocked myself because basically what happened was I needed to move my NES into the cupboard with all the other games consoles that we never play. And the problem with doing that was I got really close to the surface of it and I was like, I don't think I can ignore that dust any longer. Like I'd been not getting too close, so being able to ignore it. So I ended up having to do some cleaning.
Have you had to blow out a cartridge yet?
I only have one cartridge, so I'm just keeping it inside. It came with strict instructions not to blow on the cartridge. So I was like, okay. Awesome. Happy Monday, everybody. Is everyone here? Cool. So
I think we're missing a few people. I don't see Jarv. I don't see Alessio.
Jarv's not in our team, right? Yeah, that's true. Just invite like the department, right? Cool. So MTTP looking pretty healthy. And as I just said in the group conversation, like I'm sure we'll see a step up in the next week or so, but that's to be expected. And we'll keep working towards this and tracking on our work. So on the announcements front, so Alessio's still out. Myra, you're out next week, which is great. And just wanted to also share 360 feedback cycle is about to open. If anyone's out next week, give me a shout and let me know who your nominations are before you go. The timeline's up there. I do just want to share a little comment about that. I know I remember this last year. We didn't love it. The process should be a bit more simple. So hopefully it doesn't take so much time this year. So we'll chat more about that as we get closer to the actual writing nominations and see how we can make that like useful and not super painful at the same time. So just to be aware that this stuff is coming, but hopefully will be better than last year. Cool. And so hard PCL is lifting tomorrow. It is going to move into a soft PCL. So no high criticality changes will be happening through this week. Now, it lifts at 9 a.m. UTC. So from a practical point of view on auto deploys, after 9 UTC, Henry, you'll be free to start having things moving into Canary. So perhaps we work out in Slack what time that means we need to actually kick things off. It might be that we just need to pick up the second branch of the day. So let's coordinate timings so that we actually can just enable things and they just run smoothly through post PCL. The other thing I wanted to just check in on though is, do we have a big backlog of Kate's workload changes? Do you know, Skarbek?
We've got a backlog, but there's nothing that's like nothing that's high priority. Like it's just related to the web migration. It's stuff that we could continue to delay if necessary. It's not. It doesn't need to go in by a certain time or anything.
Okay. Okay, great. And I'll coordinate with Sean is back tomorrow, blissfully unaware of all this stuff, but he'll be picking up on the Sidekick stuff as well. So I'll catch him up on this stuff as well tomorrow.
Does the soft PCL includes production deployments or just Canary deployments?
We can do production, yeah.
Okay.
So soft, I believe, let me check that. Oh no, you're right, yeah. Yeah, you're right. So we'll only go to Canary this week. So that changes things. Thank you, Myra. That was an excellent point. That changes things quite significantly. So we may need to review that security release and push that back another day or two. And we also might need to look closer at that patch release and decide if we actually do need to push this patch out this week. So
Do we know how long the soft PCL is expected to last?
This whole week.
Oh,
Is that something
That's
we can
unfortunate.
modify? Or is this that it was established and we don't have any word in it?
I mean, we can certainly discuss it, but I think it's probably we should consider, like, do we want to modify it because of deployments or because it's like major damaging? And the reason I say that is just that the PCL is in place to protect the department. So we need to probably be a little bit sensitive about wanting to like push back on it, I guess.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just kind of scared of all the changes that are going to be deployed on Monday to production. There are going to be a lot. We are talking about a week and a half.
Yeah, so I think what we could maybe look at doing is, if we can get a stable thing onto Canary, then perhaps later this week we could get permission to override the PCL perhaps on Thursday and push a production build, or split it out. Like, I know we did that, we've done that in previous ones, but we probably want to have it sitting. Perhaps we want to have it sitting on Canary for a little bit longer than normal, just in case. So yeah, let's make a plan for that and see if we can actually avoid next Monday being every single thing. Cool. Okay, so let me actually just take an action. So cool. Okay, so great. I'll come back to that one. 3A2. Just checking you all saw this, but also, like, if you did have any comments, like, has anyone got initial thoughts on Eric's proposal?
Well, I tried to read the
Yeah, it didn't
document,
take
but it
it
is quite
directly
long.
to anything for me.
What is the Eric's proposal?
So the short version of it is that Q3 would be a tech debt only quarter. So that it would mean that basically all stage groups, I think, would be expected to have OKRs around tech debt versus features. I don't know when this will happen. Like, I know we're in the last week, but does that feel like so? Yeah. So second line, it's like, take the next 3 months, August to October, and ask all groups to prioritize SaaS first or enterprise SaaS items and not ship what we traditionally think of as features.
I think it is a great idea.
this is This is very interruptive for the Kubernetes work, because that's all feature related work. That migration is feature related, I feel.
I think we'd probably have an exemption in the grounds that it's our sort of single biggest thing to stabilize reliability. We'd need to review that, but that would be my expectation. Yeah.
Well, let's make sure we get that expectation clarified before we agree or disagree.
So yeah, I will do, definitely. I think, again, on these ones, like, these proposals are coming about off the back of our S1s. So, like, I think we can assume that they'll be set up to help us deliver our tasks rather than blocking us.
My fear is that even though, like, say we get done with web and next up is pages for this particular quarter that we're discussing, there's still a lot of unknowns with pages. So it may not necessarily be tech related, but sure, it may protect us from certain things, but we're also introducing a different infrastructure for this particular service. I just want to make sure that we're not going to sit here and go against what the company is trying to drive right now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, we probably need to just clarify the wording, that it's kind of it's almost more like supporting existing initiatives rather than trying to do new stuff or something like that. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Cool. We'll have a look through that stuff. I'm not sure what the next steps are for this. As I say, like, we're in the final week of Q2. So if something's happening, I imagine it's happening quickly, but I'm not sure what the next steps are. Cool. So B, it's the last week of Q2. So I'll open up a retro issue so we can review the quarter and see what we want to iterate on and improve to go through Q3. I've put an updated proposal for Q3 OKRs into the issue. It's the same, pretty much the same tasks as we've been talking about, but it's just framed a bit differently to tie it to our strategy and like help people understand kind of like how these things fit together. So kind of framing it all around rollbacks, but it's still finishing off the Kubernetes stuff. It's still sorting out the Kubernetes deployment, and it's still coordinate deployments and all of those pieces. We may have a few extra tasks we want to bring in around, but more for how we solve the problems rather than the focus. But having said that, I did change it up. So please take a look through. I plan to put these into Ali tomorrow if people feel okay about them. So take a look through and let me know if there's anything you think we should be adding or changing on these or removing. Cool. Myra, you have the next one.
Yes, thank you, Amy. So I just went through the security now, Jesus, my head. I just went through the release manager shift, and well, I really like being a release manager. I really like organized things, and it's also very fun to boss people around. That is also quite enjoyable. But this past month, and I don't think this past month, probably the past shifts or releases were kind of intense. We deal with a lot of incidents. I think 2 security releases, one of them was critical. Well, we had a lot of ups and downs, and I felt kind of relieved that I was only a release manager for a month, because if I had been a release manager for another month, I will be like completely exhausted. So I don't know, how does everyone feel about the rotation being only 1 month?
I have 2 comments about this, or probably more. So one, I think we should get the fact that you enjoy release management written in writing somewhere and posted somewhere, just so that everyone's clear that Myra loves this job. 2, I in particular like the 2-month rotation, but I do agree that it is exhausting to an extent. The reason why I like the 2-month rotation is that month 1 is always catch up, learning how the new process works because things have changed. But the 2nd month, I feel like a superhero because I've relearned it. I know what to do. I know what to say. I know how to respond to people, despite the fact that there are still curveballs that get thrown at us. So if we get a chance, or if we decide to change how we decide to do rotations, I would prefer to try to stay on a 2-month rotation personally. But if we do differing rotations for different people, I think that's a perfectly valid thing to accomplish or lean towards.
How about, yeah, I think that's a really great point. Like it doesn't make much difference, especially to me, whether like how long a rotation people are on for, just so long as we have like some plan basically going forwards. So how about you all have a think about it and let me know in your one-to-ones, like whether you have like a preference for period of time, or whether you want to like flex it and we can work things out, and then we can just start building that into the rota. Because I think we've got to the stage now where we're good at handovers. So I don't think it matters quite as much as it maybe used to if it's the same 2 of you on rotation for the exact same 2 months as we go through. Like I think we can flex that around reasonably effectively. So I think if you've got personal preferences, then we can accommodate that. Awesome. Thanks for bringing that one up, Myra, though. I totally agree with you. Like, well ready for a rest. And I think probably related to that as well is if you are in a rotation and you're feeling like it's super intense, please don't forget that we are able to cover. Like, so if if you need a break, if you're feeling, particularly as we go through between releases, like if you're feeling super burnt out, let me know. We can either alter rotas, or we can cover you for like a day or some days so that you can actually recover. Like, it's always a bit of an unknown going into release management, like how some months are fine and others are pretty miserable. So like, we're all here to support, basically.
I wonder how much of that pressure or not enjoying it is part of that kind of 3-week window where you're leading up to the 22nd. And then if you're doing your second month rotation, you have to do the security release also. I wonder if we could just have you handle one or the other somehow.
We could certainly do it. Like, I think if there are ways, and it's totally true day to day as well, like if there is something that having someone to help you do something would massively ease your pressure and stress levels, please feel free to speak up, right? Like like say we're all pretty much like able to do this stuff. Ruben is in training, so we'll be coming up to speed on that stuff. Henry is going into fully fledged release management. So yeah, we have people around, and Graham as well can handle some of this stuff. So yeah, if there's something you can see, like if this thing just happened, it would make things a lot easier. Please feel free to shout. Also, I am going to prioritize, as always, actually, as release managers, if there are ways to improve your processes, please feel free to make them easier and better. I will definitely be opening an issue, or finding the issue, in fact, to automate the blog post, because if I have to make another blog post for a patch release, I actually may scream. That process, like, so fine until you do it every single day, and then I'm like, seriously, like we can automate this. So for things like that, if there's ways to make it less stressful and just less time consuming, let's just get those issues prioritized. Awesome. Cool. So yeah, let me know what you want to do going forwards on that stuff. And Robert, over to you.
Yeah, Alejandro had a question in our Slack about the time for the ops upgrade. He, I guess it was supposed to happen today, and then we couldn't because of the PCL. And then he wanted to do next Tuesday, which is our current plan for the security release. So I told him I'd throw something on the agenda, and this is that.
I'm not sure why he's always so keen on Tuesdays. I mean, he's now going to have to wait till after the security release because his change is a C1, so he won't be able to do it this week because it's soft PCL. It's one of those things we need to do it, but also we haven't done it for quite a while. Like, this is probably getting into kind of a dangerous situation. So do you know what day you'll actually go ahead and do the security release?
No, I was still planning on that Tuesday, but it sounds like that might also get delayed.
I mean, you might want to review it, just if we don't do a full deployment until Monday, whether that gives you enough time. Now let's review that. I'll also chat with Alejandro, because I'm not sure why, I don't know why Wednesday or Thursday, for example, shouldn't work. So let's follow up on that. Cool. Skarbek, your question.
I do. This issue is very long. I'm not expecting everyone to read it. But the gist is we have a problem in production. We don't know what it is. We just have suspicions at the moment. But we have things that we could do to move forward to remove the situation, whether that be a massive infrastructure configuration change that changes a lot of things and takes a lot of time, or it's just a simple change that just ensures that we no longer scale our pods. But both of those potentially hide the actual underlying root cause. So the question I have is, do we perform a mitigation that hides the root cause but eliminates the problem from happening? Or do we continue to maybe place the mitigation factors on a few of our clusters? That way, instead of completely eliminating the problem, we would still see customer impact to some extent, but it'll be minimized. It'll be harder to track or trace, but we could still have a chance to investigate work with Google to figure out what the root cause is and eliminate the actual root cause. I'm leaning towards the latter, but the problem with the latter is that customers may still be impacted by this.
Do you know what we will need to be able to determine the actual root cause?
At this moment, because this deployment is, the current suspicion is that Calico is not ready when the node becomes ready in Kubernetes. Because of this, pods get scheduled. They can't perform their job because Calico's not fully up and running. Calico is not under our control. It's a feature that Kubernetes, or it's a feature that GKE, we selectively enable on our clusters. We need it for pod security policies, network policies rather. So we need this thing running. So from my point of view, Google needs to fix this. But again, this entire thing is just a suspicion. We don't have hard evidence that this is the root cause of the problem. So I don't fully know how to answer your question without saying we need to go to Google with more research.
Yeah.
But
okay,
that's also the
makes
reason
sense.
why I want to say we should leave this in place until we work with Google to figure it out. But the problem, again, is that this does impact customers sometimes. It's a small fraction of traffic, but it's still frustrating nonetheless.
Yeah. Okay. Can we speed up? Like, can we use our contacts to actually get them to give us some support more rapidly?
This issue is currently a P4 because anytime it happens, it's we trigger an alert for the EOC, but the amount of traffic that runs into this problem is just such a small percentage. It's hard to raise this in Google terms of severity. So I guess what I could do is go to our account managers to say, hey, it doesn't follow under the current procedural guidelines for what they do or deem for severities, but can we get this raised a little bit? I don't know.
Yeah,
I could ask
let's
the
do
question.
that. Let's do that, because this becomes a much bigger problem once we've migrated Webfleet, right? Like, it probably wouldn't be a 4 once you've got all of the Webfleet being affected by the same problem. So I think if we can make them aware, otherwise I'd be tempted to see if we could put a mitigation on 1 or 2 of our clusters. And then that might also give us more evidence, right? Like, if we suddenly only see this problem on the other clusters.
But that's the other problem. It's so random. We've only seen it on 2 of the 3 clusters entirely.
Yeah.
But then again, we may not have detected the problem in other clusters because it may happen during low traffic periods of time and we don't flip any alerts. There's a lot of things that would not trigger paging the EOC for this kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I'll start with that. I'll also start this same conversation as a comment, just so that we also have Graham aware and he could comment his opinion as well.
Great stuff. Sounds good. I'll see if we can do something. I'm not sure how much leverage we can do, but I'll see if Steve can perhaps help us get a little bit more GCP help as well.
All right, thank you.
Cool. Thanks for asking. Cool. Is there anything else anyone wants to bring up on the recording?